And welcome everyone throughout Australia to Harold Park in Sydney for the 19th running of the Miracle Mile. And this year the field is probably the most representative ever, with the 6 horses remaining, 5 states of Australia being represented. New South Wales, the only state with 2 contenders. The only state without a runner in this year's Miracle Mile is South Australia. So let's go round and have a look at some of the horses competing in the 1985 Miracle Mile. Number 1, the favourite, all the way from Perth in Western Australia. I know that we're going live to Gloucester Park tonight, and good evening to everyone over there. He's a magnificent horse, Pro Chevalier. He's going to open up and finish up favourite on the New South Wales TAB, and he's probably entitled to start odds on, but he's going to start a little bit better than that here in Sydney. Now, Pro Chevalier, last year he started favourite and finished last, but he's a much better horse this year. He's virtually been unbeatable since he failed in this event last year. He's won a succession of races at Gloucester Park and impressively won the Winfield Cup at Moonee Valley in early December when he rated 159.6 for the mobile 2400 metres. He was unluckily beaten at his most recent start when he finished second in the Benson and Hedges Pacing Cup at Gloucester Park. On that occasion, he raced wide for most of the journey, and they had to run a race record to beat him. He's run 9 Miracle Miles, his fastest ever in a race, 157.4, and that's over the mile. His fastest ever time, a mile rate, 156.9 over 2,275 metres. And he's certainly going to start favourite in the ring. He's a very popular horse here with the crowds. Number 2 is Diama from Tasmania. He's had 49 starts, 20 wins, 7 seconds and 4 thirds. He's earned $70,205 in prize money. He's a Tasmanian horse. He's done most of his racing in Victoria, where he's considered one of the fastest milers ever to race there. He's won the majority of his races over short distances and has recorded 9 2-minute performances, 5 winning races and 4 in time trials. His fastest ever in a race, 157 exactly, but his time trial performance of 155.5 a couple of years ago at Moonee Valley stood as the Australian record for some time. Number 3 from Victoria, quite famous, 42 starts, 17 wins, 5 seconds and 5 thirds, $64,494 in prize money. He won 7 races as a 3-year-old last season and recorded 159.7 in a time trial at Albion Park. Has shown very impressive form in recent weeks, defeating Area Code in the heat and the final of the Victorian 4-year-old Championship, and he recorded a mile rate of 2 minutes, 0.2 of a second for the flying 2,400 metres, a record for his age, a 4-year-old at Moonee Valley. Quite famous. He's been the outstanding 4-year-old, certainly, of 1984. He must be rated a big chance in this race this evening. Number 4, he's the sentimental favourite, it seems, in the race. He opened up very short in the New South Wales TAB at around about 6 o'clock tonight. And obviously from Wandai in Queensland, he has a lot of sentimental money on him. Wandai's mate has had 90 starts, 61 wins, 17 seconds and 5 thirds, $312,268 in prize money. He's hailed as the greatest standard bred ever to come out of Queensland and has the opportunity to become the first Queenslander to win since Lucky Creed won this great race back in 1970. Has an outstanding record of 61 wins from just 90 starts and has the distinction of holding 3 records in horse racing in Australasia. His 26 wins, he has won more races in a single season than any other equine in history. He has the longest run of 49 consecutive placings, and that was from his first 49 starts. And at 50 to 1 on, he has also recorded the shortest priced favourite ever to win in Australasian horse racing. Wandai's mate has recorded 8 Miracle Miles in winning races, 155.7 being his best ever performance, and at the time it stood as the Australian record. Number 5, Paleface Bubble. You remember those famous colours? The white with the red diamond, the blue sleeves and blue cap. The colours made famous by Paleface Bubble's father, Paleface Adios. Paleface Bubble tonight, 30 starts, 17 wins, 1 second and 2 thirds. He's one of New South Wales' top 4-year-olds and defeated Area Code in the Len Smith 4-year-old Championship at Harold Park, recorded 158.7 in winning as a 3-year-old at Albion Park, and during his 3-year-old career he created a fairly impressive record and won several events at Harold Park, including the Classics, the Eastern States Challenge and the Globe Derby Mile. Number 6, the only mare in the race. She's been in superlative form of late, Caramia Duplicity, 67 starts, 37 wins, 10 seconds and 3 thirds, $225,530 in prize money. She's the only mare in the field, but she's regarded as one of the fastest pacers ever out of the Mobile Gate here at Harold Park. Has the opportunity to become the first mare to win the big sprint since the New Zealand mare Robin Dundee won the inaugural event way back in 1967. She's the highest stake-winning mare in standard-bred history and has performed the Miracle Mile on 7 occasions, and easily has the best mile record of any of the horses in tonight's race at Harold Park. Her best ever performance over a mile, though, is 1:58.6, a little bit behind that of Diama, Wandai's Mate, and the brilliant West Australian Preux Chevalier. Let's go across to the tote board and have a look at the approximate dividends on offer here in New South Wales. Number 1, Preux Chevalier, to be driven by Barry Perkins, $1.20 and 75 for 50 cents on the New South Wales TAB. You'll notice that all those returns up there for the $1 investment. Number 2, Diama, to be driven by Kevin Hampton, returning odds of around about 9 to 1. Number 3, quite famous, Jim O'Sullivan, the surprisingly good odds of 17 to 1. That's $9 exactly for the win. Number 4, Wandai's Mate, returning $1.70 and 95 cents. Darryl Renke, the driver. Number 5, Powerface Bubble, to be driven by Colin Pike at 13 to 1, $7 exactly for 50 cents. And the third favourite in the event, just coming in a little bit on the New South Wales TAB, number 6, Caramere Duplicity, to be driven by Robert Martin, returning there, as you can see, $1.95 on the New South Wales TAB for 50 cents. So in the background, the horses have been called across to the starting point at the top of the back straight. As you can see, a very big and packed crowd at Harold Park, standing room only in the stands. And this crowd started gathering here early this afternoon, as is always the case these days on Miracle Mile night. You can see even a young child there trying to get a better vantage point. And you can't blame him, really. So there's the horses. That's the top of the back straight. The race record of 1:56.9 could easily go by the board. That was set by Gundary Flyer back in 1982. And the fastest time ever recorded here at Harold Park over the Flying Mile was recorded on 2 occasions by Popular Arm in the same race, the City Tattersalls Golden Mile, which is normally run in October. He recorded 1:55.9 back in 1981 and again in 1982. There's Wandai's Mate circling around, number 4. And no major changes on the tote board. Still Preux Chevalier locked in at around about 6 to 4. Preux Chevalier just receiving a gear adjustment over there from Barry Perkins. So too quite famous, although Jim O'Sullivan getting back into the Spider now. Diama circling around. I noticed Colin Pike just adjusting Powerface Bubbles gear a little bit too. Caramere Duplicity. She put up an outstanding performance here last Friday night when she came from back in the field to defeat Area Code, and Area Code had been right on the fence in front throughout the race, and he has shown during his career that he's almost unbeatable when he leads. But Caramere Duplicity ran him down in a sub 2-minute mile rating over the 1960 journey at Harold Park last Friday night, and had she drawn anywhere but 6, she would have been rated a much stronger chance than she is. And even as you look across at the tote board, 195, she certainly has a lot of fans. Being the only mare in the race, of course, she has a lot of sentimental money on her. Wandai's Mate from Wandai in Queensland. Might just have one more look at the tote board. Hardly any change, as you see. Number 1, number 4 and number 6, the very popular Lex and Preux Chevalier. He's got a couple of very fast beginners outside him, especially Diama. So the all-important start and that run into the first turn could be where the race is won and lost. And Caramere Duplicity's trainer Lucini is adamant that she races better from back in the field, so maybe the outside draw of number 6 won't hamper her chances. And they've been called to stand up behind the mobile. I notice Diama just moving around a little bit in the blue and white diamonds. Just waiting for them to get themselves into position over at the starting point. Now they're starting to move up behind the mobile gate for a start in the Miracle Mile of 1985. Up behind the gate they come. Away they go on the Miracle Mile of 1985, and Paleface Bubble immediately dropped out to last, and the mare Caramia Duplicity being hard driven by Robert Martin coming across from the outside, but Diama by virtue of the inside running takes over as they go out of the straight the first time. It's Diama from Caramia Duplicity, next Preux Chevalier, Paleface Bubble making up ground along the fence, Quite Famous drops out second last, and Wandai's Mate the Queenslander last as they go to the back the first time, and Diama opens up a big lead over Caramia Duplicity. Preux Chevalier, Perkins electing to get off the fence and go up without cover. The next one, Paleface Bubble, getting up on the inside now of Caramia Duplicity, which means that Preux Chevalier and also Quite Famous pratted three wide, and back last of all still Wandai's Mate. Onto the circle, they've got about 900 metres to travel, and in front the Victorian, formerly owned in Tasmania though, is Diama, leading out to the West Australian Preux Chevalier. The next one running third is Paleface Bubble from Caramia Duplicity, Quite Famous second last, and Wandai's Mate is last of all. They've gone through the first half in very swift time, just under 1 minute, and it's Diama leading out to Preux Chevalier. Running third is Paleface Bubble from Caramia Duplicity, Wandai's Mate, and Quite Famous still trails the field. 600 out in the Miracle Mile, and Diama full of running, leads by a length and a half on the West Australian Preux Chevalier. Next now it's Paleface Bubble, Caramia Duplicity pulled out, starting to go forward, and behind her is Wandai's Mate and Quite Famous, but Preux Chevalier gave them a go by with 400 to go, and Barry Perkins wielding the whip sent the Western Australian away. He leads by 3 lengths on Diama. Paleface Bubble moving to second. The mare three wide, Caramia Duplicity under the whip, and going between horses, Wandai's Mate, and last of all Quite Famous, but around the turn, and it's going to be a one-horse affair, I think. Preux Chevalier's opened up a big lead as they head down the straight. He leads by 20 metres, and the West Australian's going to greet the judge. He's going to make up for last year, and down the line comes Preux Chevalier. Beat Paleface Bubble, Wandai's Mate third from Caramia Duplicity. Quite Famous second last, and last Diama. 1:56.7, a new race record. Preux Chevalier the winner, trained and driven by Barry Perkins. Second, number 5, Paleface Bubble, driven by Colin Pike, trained by Lucini. Third, number 4, Wandai's Mate, driven by Darryl Renke, trained by Merv Renke. And officially fourth will be number 6, Caramia Duplicity. Quite Famous has finished 5th, and Diama dropped out to finish last. There's the winner, Preux Chevalier, and look at him go. Barry Perkins summed up the race with 400 to go. He took him around Diama and said, let's go for home. And he's given the Eastern States in the last 2 months a taste of just how good he really is. He won the Winfield Cup in early December in Melbourne, and tonight he's taken the Miracle Mile in Sydney, and he's won it easily. Great performance, and also an outstanding performance by the second horse, Paleface Bubble, only a 4-year-old. He's run a very big race, as too as Wandai's Mate, who's finished third. But no doubt about the class of the brilliant West Australian number 1 Preux Chevalier. 1:56.7. I dare say they're cheering all the way to the bookmakers' stands over at Gloucester Park. That's broken the race record just outside Popular Arms' track record of 1:55.9, but broke Gundary Flyers' race record of 1:56.7 by 0.2 of a second. The first quarter in 27.5. The first half finished up being completed in 57.9. That really set up the fast time. And they've finished up running 1:56.7. So the approximate totes in New South Wales. Number 1, Preux Chevalier, $1.20 and 80 cents. Second, number 5, Paleface Bubble, will return $1.95 for the place. No third dividend for number 4, Wandai's Mate. The Quinella 1 and 5, $27.50 for $1. And the daily double, or the double, on the 1 and 1 here at Harold Park, Kenny McFable, which won the last $4.20. But there's the cheers. Barry Perkins, no doubt ecstatic after the horse's disappointing performance last year. He's come back and he's shown his many fans that he is an outstanding champion. And the West Australian continued that state's great success in the Miracle Mile. And it was shades of Mount Eden here tonight as Preux Chevalier came away to win by a very big space, 9 metres in the end, 3.5 metres between second and third. And Preux Chevalier, trained and driven by Barry Perkins, owned by KJ and WM Levin, by Lumber Dream out of Heather Frost, and hailing from Western Australia. shortly be going back to all the local programs. Second was number 5, Powerface Bubble, driven by Colin Pike, trained by Lucini. And third, Wandai's Mate, driven by Darryl Renke and trained by Merv Renke. But it's Pro Chevalier's Miracle Mile.
A stranger enters town. His odd appearance.